Hello, I'm Simon Rogers of Pelgrane Press, publisher of 13th Age, Gumshoe Supplements, Hill Folk. I also run Pro Fantasy Software, and we produce map-making software.
Hi, I'm Dominic McDowall. I run Cubicle 7. We publish Doctor Who Adventures in Time and Space, Doctor Who card game, the One Ring, Lord of the Rings role-playing game, and many others I won't run through now because we'll run out of tape.
Hi, I'm Angus Abranson, publisher of Chronicle City. We work with a number of companies worldwide, helping them get their products into print, as well as designing some of our own products, such as Space 1889 in English.
Hi, I'm Chris Birch from Modiphius. We just did the Acton Cthulhu Kickstarter. We've got the Acton Cthulhu range coming out. We're doing the Mutant Chronicles new role-playing game and the Dust role-playing game, and cogs, cakes and saw sticks.
And I'm Russ Morrissey from EN World, and I'm moderating this impromptu panel of UK game publishers here at Gen Con. So the first question, guys, what would you say is the biggest difference between a convention here in the US and one at home in the UK?
I think actually it's the fact that the actual town we're in embraces, everyone here loves the fact that we're here because we're all spending money, of course. And it's bigger and there's more kinds of people here enjoying it and being passionate. But it's obviously scale is a big thing.
Yeah, certainly in regards to Gen Con, it's certainly scale, because for restaurant, there's a number of restaurants which have been sponsored by companies. So you actually have Pathfinder menu, War Machine menus and everything else. But generally speaking, the American gamers tend to be a lot more kind of like enthusiastic and loud than kind of like, the British gamers tend to sometimes be a little bit more reserved. I think there's definitely a difference in attitude. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where the kind of the stereotype holds true. You do. I mean, I think as well with the scale of it, there's such a critical mass of excitement and buzz. It's a really. I mean, I find it a really motivating thing. You go away with your batteries recharged and just just enthused to carry on with what we're doing and get the next books out for next year.
I think people are much more open about their enthusiasms. It's certainly different working behind a stand with Americans because they're much more kind of direct about selling stuff to people. But it's simply a matter of scale in the sense that there are ex-role players in the UK who'd be willing to come to a convention and 10 times as many in the States. So when you gather them all in one place, you get a much higher level of excitement and buzz just for a sheer number of people.
I'll also add, I think one of the other big differences, certainly for us as publishers, is it gives us a chance to actually mingle and network with the American publishers who we very rarely actually see come to UK conventions. So I think that is also a very, very big draw. And certainly, there's a lot of discussions. Again, I think helps with enthusiasm and brainstorming ideas and everything.
Yeah. And particularly, I mean, Gen Con, it's a bit like the video games industry's E3 show. It's like this is the big date on the calendar. Everyone's showing off the games that are going to come out later this autumn for Christmas, or they're launching games. So you get so many big launches that everyone's so excited about, and that's what makes you think, wow, actually I really love this industry because it's so much fun,
The demographic as well, I find the US shows is so much broader. There's a lot more gender equality in the attendees. There's a lot more families, and people are here not just for the games. It's they're huge geek culture events as well. I was at PAX East in Boston earlier in the year, which was primarily a video games show, but a huge number of people who are interested in looking at other kinds of things, and but it certainly helps with things like Doctor Who, where they get a lot of recognition, and people are like, oh, I'll have a look at that because of the brand, But they were keen to look at all the other stuff as well, and just curious about all aspects of their chosen field.
And we are quite exotic here. That's the other thing. We really do stand out. People will kind of step backwards and wonder, are you LARPing? What's going on here? And that makes a big difference. It gives us an opportunity to spread British slang. And
Which is important.
My challenge is to get as many Americans as possible to say the word duty.
Duty. So how has your welcome been?
Amazing. I mean, we've had a lot of Kickstarters, fans coming up and saying so good to meet you, and it's just really nice to be able to meet people who are so excited to see what you're doing, which is a book basically, and a load of hard work, but it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, it's been slightly different for me this year because I'm one of the guests, industry guests this year, so I've been doing a number of panels, which I think you were last year as well.
Yeah.
And that takes a slightly different slant on the show because obviously you're running away from a booth doing panels, but I've actually really enjoyed that because beforehand I'd had an experience of doing seminars in the UK. I wasn't quite sure how it was going to be in the US because obviously trading at UK conventions is very different. I wasn't sure seminars were, but it's actually been really, really good fun.
I mean, that sort of thing is lovely as well, I think, because even growing up in the UK and being very far from this sort of scene, still, in White Dwarf and Dragon magazines, you'd see Gen Con advertised and other US shows, and it's it was so exciting just like to be here the first time. I just think, I'm trading here. Wow, this is really amazing. And then, like, to have that sort of recognition of being a guest, it was really special. It was something that you think, when you're young, thinking my teenage self was absolutely, over the moon over it. It was really, really good.
I think that's probably true of all of us. If you imagine what your inner 12-year-old would have said, what do you want to be? When I go, I want to run a games company. I want to make games for people. It's going to be really awesome. There's going to be dice. It's going to be big books. It's just going to be great. And I think I've been coming here for 18 years now, and it has just completely transformed in terms of the demographic, in terms of the friendliness, and in terms of the fact, obviously, the more you come here, the more people you get to know, the more threads all link up, and the more you find that games designers and publishers and the people here are very similar people. So we don't really think that we're competing with each other. We're always helping each other. For example, I spoke to Lisa Stevens at some length and was saying thank you so much for just helping everybody below you, and that's what she does, and that's what they do, and they're now kind of, certainly here, the biggest role-playing game here with all their Ennies stacked along, and it's lovely to be part of that and connect with the Americans who do a lot of our work.
And the other thing is the big names, Monty, Kirk, etc. Everyone is so friendly. Lisa Stevens I was talking to earlier. Everyone is, because they're just normal people.
Yeah. I've not met one unfriendly person.
Exactly, and they're all very keen to help any little, new people starting an industry because they were all there as well, and often not that long ago.
Yeah, and even when you get a little bit enthusiastic and a bit, starstruck, and you start stammering and babbling at them, they're fine with it. They're used to it, I'm sure. But
is enthusiastic and starstruck another name for being slightly drunk?
So the Ennies. Yeah. So nominations-wise, you all swept the board. How many did each of you get nominations?
We just won. We were Best Adventure.
Yeah, Chronicle C had 2 products up because we also had Judge's Spotlight as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
you had a pile.
7, I think, this year we had.
And you had similar.
We had 8 nominations.
Yeah, so between.
It's roll.
Well, yeah. So that's approaching 20 for the Brit Club.
I'd like to also nod to the Irish contingent who have been involved in a lot of our stuff. To Gareth Ryder Hanrahan and Kat Tobin who works for us. So
She's not Irish.
It's Team GMT. Or even Team EU. We're going to claim all the Estrin Ennies as well.
I think, but going back to the last point, everyone's very welcome, but I have heard some grumbles about, I think we're getting a bit of notoriety around the awards. So I've heard some chin stroking, the British lads are doing good stuff.
The guys who won the best writing, Wolfgang Bauer and his group, who were, they've done some fantastic world building stuff, were saying, it's nice to have beaten the British for once.
Yeah, because when you think about it, there was, how many Ennies did you win this year?
2.
And you won 2, and between Chronicle C we've won 2. And then if you add the French Ennie Awards for Shadows of Restaurant, who won 3.
I'm not 100% sure you can add the French. I know Simon's been trying to. I don't think you can.
Only 2.5 hours on the Eurostar.
But the thing is kind of like, there is a lot more of a European presence being felt in the American market, which I think is a very, very good thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, definitely. I'm with Simon. I think, the Entente Cordiale should extend to the Annie Awards.
Yes, as long as they keep winning Ennies.
So the moment they don't win an Ennie, they're out. This is an exclusive club. You have to earn your way in.
And if you speak English.
So highlights of the con, other than the wonderful sales you're all obviously doing yourselves. What else have you seen, done, experienced, bought?
Numenera, got to say.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a groundbreaking game from the looks of it.
Yeah, it's going to be going head-to-head with you next year, I believe.
How many Kickstarter backers were there?
1,400 or something.
How many guys does I got to whack?
I'd be very happy with the nominations, what I'm saying.
So highlights, Angus?
I think Vienna's was definitely a highlight.
Oh, well, yeah. apart from that.
Also, kind of like doing seminars and getting the feedback from people, from the seminars afterwards. Because, the seminars might take an hour, but you're always going to be stuck for, well, not stuck, but it's going to be extended by at least half an hour with people talking to you about the subjects anyway.
I think for me, we've had quite a few people coming by and seeing our new stuff and going, I don't know anything about this, but you guys do great stuff, so I'm going to buy it anyway.
They're saying they don't know anything about Doctor Who and Lord of the Rings.
Some, there's still some room. No, it's mainly on the other stuff, but maybe Doctor Who and the Lord of the Rings helped pave the way towards it.
Lured them in.
Two things, I suppose. The first one is Rob Hainslow running a game of 13th Age for us, in which that my one unique thing was that I lost my shadow in a bet and now it's hunting me down.
You lost your shadow?
Shadow in a bet and now it's hunting me down. That was great. And oh dear, I've forgotten the other one. It was really good. It'll come to me.
Just say Numenera when you've got nothing else to say. No, he won't say it.
There's a lot of. It's a danger of mispronouncing it.
Numenera. No, I struggle with it too.
Little indie games coming up, and obviously Kickstarter has paid for a lot of the stands here and paved the way for a lot of new companies to emerge, which is really exciting as well. So there's actually a lot of stuff. There's a bit of an overload. You actually don't really remember all the good stuff you see sometimes.
From a cost point of view, it's not cheap to come all the way over here to a convention. Would you say that the convention pays for itself?
I think it pays for itself in the deals that you're going to be doing. I mean, just little conversations you go, oh yeah, we could do that. That's a cool idea. And just stuff that you know is going to pay off in the long run. Sales obviously help. I think it helps wipe its face. And when you have some big games out, that is a really good thing. But I think it's all about the relationships. The industry is built on friendships, people we know, people helping each other, going, oh look, I'll give you a hand with that product. Finding someone who is going to help write the next book, who is a genius. So I think that you can't quantify that.
Sure.
I completely agree with Chris. Yeah, it's like you always hope that you're going to break even and make a profit. But the thing is, there's other added value to coming to the shows as well, as Chris said, with the network and everything else. So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that covers it. It's there's definitely there's the promotional side as well as the financial side, and they both coincide, so that's good.
I remember being here with the Dying Earth the first year. We came here with a little 10x10 booth. No one had ever heard of us, and it was hard doing that, but it was useful. But it was sold 40 books in 4 days or some ridiculous thing, which seemed like a reasonable amount, but it's big gaps between sales. So now we definitely break even cash wise, but we also connect with our customers, and now of course we give out loads of Kickstarter stuff, which saves us a fortune in shipping and means that they all come and say hello to us, which is wonderful. But this year, because Cat somehow managed to get 10 books out in the space of about 5 months, we're actually done remarkably well, and it will probably we'll actually make a profit, I think, a decent profit.
So Dom, you run Dragon Meet.
Yes.
And Angus, you used to run Dragon Meet. So would you take anything away from Gen Con? Could you learn anything from coming to Gen Con? I mean, not that I'm saying that you don't run Dragon Meet astonishingly well, you do, but is there anything that anything that you'd like to do with Dragon Meet which perhaps Gen Con does particularly well that perhaps you could do too?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's making sure there's a variety of stuff for people to do. I mean, I think that's something that Gen Con does very well. There's such a huge range of things you can get involved in, and I think those sort of like peripheral things that are there to do. That's something I'd like to see more of at Dragon Meet. I think. For Dragon Meet, I kind of looking at Gen Con and then looking at the European shows like Essen. I think it's sort of like bringing those two together is kind of, I think, what I'm looking for Dragon Meet.
and as an ex-Dragon Meet organiser.
Well, to be fair, kind of like the scale between Dragon Meet and Gen Con is so
enormous,
completely different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that happen here that you can't replicate, certainly to the same
there's
scale.
a big synergistic kind of thing.
But certainly as far as there's certainly tips to be made. It's like kind of like the seminar tracks and various bits and pieces which Dragon Meet already have. You can see what subjects are being very popular here and possibly mirror them for a UK audience and that sort of thing.
Or ignore them out of contrariness.
I certainly think there's lessons that any convention organizer can take, but obviously it's not going to be easy to replicate the show. Even kind of like the largest show in the UK, which is UK Games Expo, does very well, but it's still a fraction of the size of something like this. So.
That's right.
So let's close this up. One last comment from each of you. Maybe you want to plug your. I mean, I can't think of anything that you guys are releasing. You've got some 14th.
Don't even start. That's the sequel.
Was it a love letter to the Indiana Jones RPG?
TM.
So, yes, we have the 13th Age, which is written by the two designers of the previous versions of Dungeons and Dragons, which has just taken off. It really has. It's got something like 280 groups signed up to organise play. It's just on a scale beyond anything that we've ever done before. We also have the beautiful Hillfolk and Blood on the Snow, which are entirely new role-playing game experience, really, with the beautiful Euro-style layout as well. That's slightly irritating for retailers, have to stack A4 books on their shelves, but that's how we roll. And then we have Owl Hoot Trail and a bunch of other stuff. We're going to stack them all into the Ennies at the end of the day if we've got any copies left. And we'll just see what happens. I'm quite happy just to have, if we're lucky enough to have a couple of things and not get the award, just to see what happens. Put them all in, see what happens.
So much to choose from.
Some highlights. Rocket Age, perhaps.
Rocket Age is going great. That's it's 30s retro sci-fi pulp, but laser pistols and jetpacks throughout the solar system. It's a great fun game using the Vortex system that powers the Doctor Who game. So that's gone really well for us. I think in the 50th anniversary year for Doctor Who, we've had lots of interest with that, with the Doctor by Doctor source books we're going through, which I think will end up to be something in the region of 1,300 pages of all the Doctors. So it's going to be a really sort of it's a project.
Talking of Doctor Who, what do we all think of Peter Capaldi?
I think he's going to be awesome. I really do. I think he's going to be absolutely amazing.
I watched the Thick of It box set. And it was just great. I hope he uses some of the language from that. I don't need to say anything. Just carrot and stick is all I will say. Go and see that one.
Angus.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a fantastic choice. Again, it will boil down to the scripts and various bits and pieces, but no, I was very, very pleased that he's been selected. So.
And that he's older than all.
Yeah. Having a Doctor that's older than you is just the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about
the
things you have going
things
on.
that are coming out. Well, we're currently running with Space 1889 Kickstarter using the Ubiquity system, which is updating the game and also enhancing the setting, because apart from just Mars, we're bringing out a Venus source book. We've got Mercury source book, which is probably going to be unlocked during the campaign as well. That's got another week to go from this Sunday. But yeah, Space 1889 is going to be a very, very big one. The other thing I'm looking forward to is actually getting my voice back over the next few days.
Yeah, I noticed that on the second day of the con. I bumped into you. Angus, something's happened to your voice.
Yeah, it was really bad, because I think it was yesterday I woke up and I had no voice at all. I was due to give a seminar at 12 and I was just kind of like liquid and cough sweets and stuff, and managed to get a voice back for about an hour and then started dipping.
Do you know what helps? Cigars. Smoke 10 cigars. And Chris?
Well, obviously, Acting Cthulhu's, that's our big project for the next few months. We're playtesting Mutant Chronicles. That's coming out in the spring. We're doing a Kickstarter for that in November, and then Dust, the Dust role-playing game, which is based on Dust Tactics, Paolo Parente's kind of World War II universe. So we're just starting to recruit people to start playtesting that in the autumn. So that's our big three babies for the next few months.
Okay.
I think there was one thing, you were all talking about Dragon Meet. I think there is one thing we can definitely take away from Gen Con.
Okay.
more upbeat seminars. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think. Do you think that maybe it kind of feeds on itself, that a perception that the RPG industry in the UK is lacking in comparison to the US one actually creates the reality in a sense?
Well, yeah, when people say about RPG industry in the UK, it's a global RPG industry. Because that's the thing is that all of us sell in the States, sell. Sell globally.
You all do astonishing.
Yeah, we may be based in the States. A lot may be based in the States, may be based in the UK, but we all use freelancers who are global. So. The RPG in the industry, yes, the publishers are in the industry, and obviously there is a games fan base in the UK, but it is a much wider thing. So I always find it hard when people say, "Tell me about the UK games industry," because really. It's we're part of the global industry.
Yeah, it's a big old Venn diagram, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think it's the people in the UK don't see all this. So I think it's an odd perception that I think that people get in the UK. Yes.
I did a lot of number crunching on Pro Fantasy numbers because I got the impression that the proportion of role players in the UK was lower than in the States. But when I crunched the numbers, we have as many role players per head as the Americans. But there's just something going on that we don't really kind of get together and get enthusiastic, I think, in the way that the Americans do.
That's interesting, because the figures I get from my website are very different. I mean, it is...
Enthusiastic one.
Well, the ones that would go online and seek out a website, perhaps.
I mean, American culture is all about cons, isn't it? It's the con weekend, you go away for a weekend, it's the road trip. I mean, people I've spoken to have been driving for 9-15 hours, and that's normal for them.
And spending hundreds and thousands of dollars to do it, which I think is a different cultural thing as well.
All weekend gaming, it's very much a lifestyle here, whereas I don't think we quite have that culture in England. We don't.
It's so unaffordable. Convention space, exhibitor space, hotels. It's fantastically expensive. We've all run conventions, and it's thankless. And I'm afraid to say that American gamers are much more likely to be willing to spend money getting into a convention than British gamers, because we are more sensible with our money.
Well, if you think about it does seem quite strange for a convention in, say, London. It's not that far in American terms. It's not that far from anyone in the UK, is it? I mean, you got people driving up from Florida or LA or something.
They drive up from Norwich
or Southampton. That's 80 miles away. It'll take me an hour, 10 minutes. No. Anyway, so thanks so much, you guys. Congratulations for your Ennies.
Thank you.
Hopefully more next year and in the future. And we'll wrap this one up. And we'll get this online as soon as possible. So thanks again. And goodbye everyone from the UK publishers at Gen Con.